Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Let me just take a moment right at the very beginning to remind you that you are a perfect being of light. When you feel that presence within yourself, with your love and your kindness and your connection to the God Spirit, this is truly the essence of life. You're conscious of this. And may you just truly be conscious of this goodness throughout today and tomorrow and the next day. This is the heaven on earth. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, I'd like to welcome all of you to our Monday evening meditation. It continues to be such a glorious evening from 7 to 8 o'clock. And then tonight we'll be having the Eckhart Tolle New Earth Sunday evening from 6 to 7:30. Just go to our website, click on study groups, and scroll down to the New Earth with Eckhart Tolle. Before I begin today's presentation, I just want to say that today's teaching is pivotal. You have to have it as your foundation in order to go forward. My dear friends, it continues to be a great joy, obviously, to greet you in these weekly teachings. Our focus has been to move forward in constructing our lives the way that we truly want to live from the guidance of the Holy Spirit that is within us. While this will always be my focus in the teachings to move forward into the future, I do want to address a lingering problem for many of us, one that has the tendency to keep us trapped in the past. It is precisely in removing this limitation that I want to focus on. Thus, the topic of today's teaching is a better solution to an old problem. A better solution to an old problem. I will begin with a presentation of the problem, proceed to advice that you often give to others concerning the problem, propose a newer solution to the problem, and then gently invite you to take the advice. Let's begin with the problem. The problem that many people still have on the spiritual path and that they are dealing with is that they are continuing to experience the very low energies of guilt and shame. Guilt and shame. Many psychologists would say, and I would agree with them, that guilt and shame are the lowest of all human energies to deal with. I've thought about these energies for quite some time because many people feel that fear and doubt are the lowest energies. But there is a clear difference between fear and doubt and guilt and shame. Fear and doubt have much more to do with the future. They make you hesitate before going forward. But guilt and shame deal with your past. Guilt and shame are actions and thoughts that you have had, that you cannot deny that they happened. And they have a tendency to block your future. The past is blocking the future. This notion of guilt and shame carry with them two significant problematic experiences. The first problematic experience is that the person involved can easily forgive other people for their past lower energy expressions, but they cannot seem to forgive themselves. It's truly amazing how we can forgive others, but cannot forgive ourselves for our past. Thoughts like, I should have known better. Should have known better. Look at all of the problems that I caused others. Weigh very heavily upon us. And the person oftentimes comes back to these thoughts again and again. More guilt, more shame. And as you know, whenever you focus on any energies, those energies increase. But there's also a second problem. Let's say that such a person is sincerely trying to develop their spirituality, and they want to move beyond guilt and shame. But it just takes one person to say to them, well, who do you think you are now? Look what you've done. Who do you think you are? Look what you've done. Just one person to make such a comment. Or even the person who is even trying to develop their spirituality might say to themselves, oh my God, look at all of the skeletons I have in my closet. Who do I think I am? Look what I have done. This is a problem. And quickly, the downward spiral begins. Back into the guilt and the shame. It's so difficult to acknowledge our deeds of the past and to see them without recalling that we should have known better. We should have done better. The problem of guilt and shame is clearly apparent in many of us still, and we must learn to get beyond them. So let's now take a moment to ask that person who is feeling guilt and shame, what advice would they give to others who are feeling guilty or shameful about their past? Or better yet, what advice would you give to your children if they came to you feeling down because of regretting their past actions? Might I suggest that you would probably give your children the following 3 pieces of advice. And I applaud you. I applaud you for how much you have been able to grow and perhaps assist them to handle their situations. The first piece of advice I think that you would give them is that they were doing the best they could at the time. They were just doing the best they could at the time. You would probably go on to tell them that they had to learn a certain lesson in their life, and that our past actions have taught us about ourselves. That's good advice. You'd probably also go on to say that the people involved with them at the time were also doing the best they could. And they too, the other people involved, were learning their lessons in life, just as you were. Again, what excellent advice to give one of your kids. The second piece of advice you would probably give them is that who they are now is not who they were in the past. Who they are now is not who they were in the past. You would tell them that they have grown into their present identity of a loving, kind person. And you might even recall the words of A Course in Miracles that our past view of ourselves was a case of mistaken identity. We were in the grip of the ego, even though we didn't know it. But now, that's not who we are. Now that we know better, that would be very important for us to be able to tell them. We can follow the words of the advice of Maya Angelou. When you know better, you do better, and you are doing better. Again, what wonderful advice you would give to your children, helping them to see the past for what it was. It was a learning device to teach them elevated lessons of life so that they can move beyond the past and now move into a better future identity, no longer mistaking who they are. And again, your advice would be spot on. There's probably a third piece of advice you would give your children, and that is for them to let the past be the past. Let the past be the past. So much easier said than done. But wouldn't you tell them that? Let the past be the past. Surely you would encourage them not to stay stuck in the past, in the old energies of guilt and shame, but rather to move forward with much better energies of kindness and goodness and intelligence. Surely you would tell them that the lessons of the past have brought a better direction for their future, and so that they should look with appreciation on the past, but focus on the future. Again, your advice would be spot on. We learn from the past, but the focus is always on the future, moving ahead. Your 3 pieces of advice to your kids: that they were doing the best they could, that they are now not who they were in the past, and let the past be the past, are wonderful examples of your spiritual growth. You have learned your lessons well, and you're passing this guidance on to your children. So now, I have a question for you. Why can't you take your own advice? Why do you still get caught in guilt and shame? Why can't you listen to yourself? So let me now take you to a better solution of this old problem. The title of today's teaching: a better solution to this old problem. A better solution than even the advice you would give your children. Please listen carefully. This is foundational for your future. The better solution to your past experiences of shame and guilt have 2 aspects to them. The first one you kind of know, but the second one is really the key. The first aspect is, for a better solution to the problem of guilt and shame, is that one you kind of know, but perhaps have not accepted as yet. This knowing is that we were playing the game of separation. We were playing the game of separation. And the whole purpose of the game of separation, the whole purpose of this separation, was that we dimmed our lights precisely. We dimmed our lights precisely so that we could experience the lousy feelings of fear and doubt, and even the lousier feelings and the more enduring feelings of guilt and shame. And not only the feelings of guilt and shame with others, but even worse, a sense of guilt and shame with God. As though God could not possibly love us because of the things that we had done directly to others, and thus indirectly to God itself. Shame upon shame, guilt upon guilt. Not only regretting our past action with others, but also being ashamed of our past actions with God, and fearful of being in the presence of God with all of those skeletons still jingling within our closets. Such a low point for us to even feel guilty and shameful in the presence of God. Knowing that we played this game of separation is such a help to us. That we have intentionally dimmed our lights to experience what separation felt like. Separation from ourselves, from others, and from God itself. With the worst energies in the game. The worst energies of the game not being fear and doubt, but those tougher energies of guilt and shame. So, you know about the game of separation. But why do you still have a hard time accepting it? And still have a hard time accepting the fact that you should have known better? Why is it? This is a very important point for you to consider. Why might you still be holding on to the fact that you should have known better? I'm going to suggest an answer to you. This is pivotal. May I suggest that you are now ready to experience the key to the game of separation, and perhaps this key really is the biggest obstacle of letting go of guilt and shame. What I am suggesting to you now takes some time, and it takes attention. It takes time and attention. You have to mull it over. You have to let it come into you. But it's really important to release the past. Here it is. The biggest obstacle in letting go of your past, the biggest obstacle in letting go of your past is your experience of pride. The biggest obstacle in releasing the past is your experience of pride. It's the pride of the ego. It's the pride of the ego that continues to keep you trapped. I should have known better. Egoic pride. Not being able to accept the fact that you didn't know better. Egoic pride. Do you not see that it is your pride that keeps you locked into the past? You, the little you, the ego, should have known better. What an arrogant statement from the little you. Pride is the basic origin of all of our problems. We did it our way rather than the Spirit's way. We did it our way rather than the Spirit's way. Pride, I would suggest, is really the ego at work in its subtlest form. You, the little you, the egoic you, oh, I should have known better. It's pride, pride, pride. In your unwillingness to admit the little you, which you so dearly loved, has been the problem all along. Now, listen more closely. When you are in the Spirit, let's just say right here at this moment, and just take a moment to be in the Spirit just right now. When you are in the Spirit, just put yourself into the Spirit right now. When you're feeling this connection, do you not clearly understand this? It was the little you that thought it was in charge that was the problem. You have to take the time to mull this over. It was the little you that thought it was in charge. It was the worldly you, personality you, not the spiritual you. Right now, when you observe yourself as spirit, do you not clearly see the little you, the egoic you, that didn't know better, so that it could have the experience of separation? Isn't this clear to you? It was the little you that had the experience of separation, not you now. It's your ego that's keeping you trapped. It's your pride. Oh, I should have known better. That won't let you go of separation. You may still be playing the game of separation because of pride. I should have known better. You didn't. Because you had dimmed your light. You will have to ponder this situation. You can't just do it in one sitting. I guarantee you that if you still feel guilt or shame, you are still in pride. Just say it again. If you still feel guilt and shame, it's a matter of your pride. Again, put yourself in the spirit right now and clearly experience forgiveness of yourself. Get over your pride. The last and lowest energy in the game of separation. The last, lowest foundational energy in the game of separation. Before I conclude, there is one more essential aspect to note. One little paragraph that I'll repeat. Please, please remember that others were playing the game of separation with you. And they too will have to get over their pride, which they might presently be viewing as victimization by you. I am going to repeat that. Others were playing the game of separation with you. And they too will have to get over their pride, which they might presently be experiencing as victimization by you. In conclusion, I have given you a better way to release the old problem of guilt and shame. Please take the time to listen to this teaching several times. Don't listen just with your head, though, but much more through your conscious, heartfelt experience. Surely, along with Helen Schuckman and William Thetford, co-authors of A Course in Miracles, who said there must be a better way. There must be a better way, certainly, to deal with shame and guilt. I have just given it to you. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Let us begin our meditation today with a sense of excitement. What a wonderful, wonderful opportunity before us right now to release any shameful or guilty feelings of the past. Oh my gosh. What an incredible opportunity right before us. So let's begin as we normally do by simply focusing on the breath, just breathing in and breathing out and allowing the breath to do what it does. Let it settle you. Settle certainly your body, but especially settle your mind, where the thoughts of guilt and shame just linger again. Let it settle your mind and bring the inner you to the fore. Please begin. Now this is very important. Please place your hand over your sternum and locate your soul self, the inner you. Just feel that presence within yourself in your heart space, the inner you. Now I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to ask you where this statement comes from. Here's the statement. I should have known better. Where did that statement come from? I bet you were right back in your head again. You cannot release guilt and shame from your head. It's a memory. It's an experience that you have. How many times have you heard Einstein's explanation? You can't release a problem from the same field of energy that caused the problem. How many times have you heard that? You can't release the problem from the field that caused the problem. It's your ego. And really, the ego is not a little devil in you by any means. The ego is simply a false understanding of who you are. You thought you were simply a human being. You didn't have a greater wisdom at the time. You were limited. Now, would you please accept the fact that you were limited? You were limited. Well, I should have known better. You were limited. You didn't know better because you had dimmed your light. That was the whole point of feeling the experience of separation. You dimmed your light to experience the separation. But I should have known better. How many times will you have to go through this? Well, look what I've done to others. So you were the only one playing the game of separation? Let me ask you another question. But just be honest. Were you ever victimized by someone else? Come on, fess up. Were you ever victimized by someone else? Whether they knew it or not? Were you victimized or felt victimized? Rejected? Now you know better. You have moved from separation into alignment. And now that you know better, you will do better. Perhaps now you'll be able to entertain this wonderful advice that you would have given your children that you now can apply to yourself. Remember those 3 pieces of advice? It was such an important thing for us to understand. You were doing the best you could. And you were playing the game of separation quite well. You were doing the best you could from that little egoic standpoint. Who you are now is not who you were then. It was a case of mistaken identity. Intentionally focus on who you are now. Let the past be the past. Focus on your future. It's time to move forward.
I honor thee. abounds and love abides. The light shines bright to illumine love without, love within. I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. When you are where you need to be, within that space, I honor thee. See through eyes of illusion, seen through spirit, we are one. I honor thee. I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor
Don't you just feel cleansed? What a relief. Let's go kindly, happily, intelligent into our future. Namaste, dear beloved ones. Namaste.